As a constitutional law attorney, former senior legal advisor, and personal counsel to President Donald J. Trump, Jenna Ellis believes in the rule of law and the importance of integrity in our elections. And she's ready to tackle the big cultural and legal issues facing America. This is the Jenna Ellis Show. Here is your host, Jenna Ellis.
Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of the Jenna Ellis Show. I'm Jenna Ellis, and we need to talk about kids' rights. My guest today, Katy Faust, has a brand new book that is going to really encourage you. And we're going to talk a lot about the lies of the left and how we can combat that with the truth from a biblical worldview and a reality-based premise. A lot of times the left is suggesting, well, who does this really harm? There was a piece in the Daily Signal, and this is the headline: thousands of minors went under the knife to affirm a transgender identity studies show. So this article in the Daily Signal goes on to say, transgender advocates repeatedly claim that minors only take puberty-blocking drugs or cross-sex hormones, but never undergo surgeries in an attempt to force their male or female bodies to resemble the opposite sex. Yet a new study estimates that more than 3,000 minors underwent transgender surgeries in a 5-year period, and more than 400 of them had their genitals removed. This is according to the Journal of the American Medical Association that published a study just this week estimating that nearly 50,000 Americans underwent so-called gender-affirming surgeries from 2016, all the way back in 2016 to 2020. And nearly 4,000 of them underwent surgery that were between the ages of 12 and 18. This is shocking. And these types of numbers are only showing that the left is absolutely lying about the harm that this is causing, not only society at large, but these specific children. So my good friend Katy Faust, who has this brand new book out, is going to join me in just a moment right after this. With inflation, the banking world collapse, and everything that Joe Biden is doing not to protect America, you need to make sure to secure your financial health, especially in retirement. And hey, if you're a millennial like me, that actually is sooner than you think. You need to start now, even if you are a millennial or a Gen Zer, to make sure that your financial health is actually healthy when we get to retirement. And Legacy Precious Metals has a revolutionary new online platform that allows you to invest in gold and silver online in real time. In a few easy steps, you can open an account online, select your metals of choice, and choose to have them stored in a vault or shipped right to your door. You'll have access to a dashboard where you can track your portfolio growth in real time anytime. You'll see transparent pricing on each coin and bar, and this puts you in complete control of your money. The platform is free to sign up for. Visit legacypminvestments.com and open your account and see this new investing platform for yourself. Gold hedges against inflation and against a volatile stock market. A truly diversified portfolio isn't just more stocks and bonds, but different asset classes. This brand new platform allows you to make investments in gold and silver, no matter how small or large, with just a few clicks. Visit legacypm.com to get started. You can download the free investor's guide, and you can also call Legacy PM Investments to talk to a portfolio expert to get expert answers to your to customize your personal portfolio. So visit legacypminvestments.com to get started. Tell them that Jenna sent you. So joining me now to discuss is my good friend Katy Faust, who is the author of Them Before Us, Why We Need a Global Children's Rights Movement. And also her brand new book is out September 26th of this year. And it's titled Raising Conservative Kids in a Woke City, Teaching Historical, Economic, and Biological Truth in a World of Lies. So Katy, thanks so much for joining me today. And, this whole idea of how the left is suggesting that somehow it's not harmful to children and, really nobody is getting this gender affirming care. These statistics were actually shocking to me. Did that surprise you as well?
Well, we had already heard whispers, right? We had disclosures from hospital officials talking about how these surgeries do happen. And by the way, the sooner we get them, the more money that we make. I mean, what you're doing right here by convincing children that they are born in the wrong body is you are creating lifelong medical patients. That's what you've got. You've got kids who, once you block puberty, once you do some cross-sex hormones, especially if you go the route of surgery, what you've got is kids who even if they embrace their natal sex, are going to be dependent on the pharmaceutical industry for life, because we have so wrecked their ability to regulate their own hormone levels and even to produce their own hormones if we have cut out their ovaries or their testes or whatever it is. And so we knew that some of this was taking place. Actually having the hard numbers, there's no excuse now to not go out and absolutely advocate and fight on behalf of these children.
Yeah, it is incredible to me that anyone would suggest that this is remotely appropriate. I can't believe that there isn't a bill that is completely unanimous on the federal level and in every state to say, obviously, we should be prohibiting this type of mutilation of children's bodies. I mean, I think that there is a question of whether our society should even permit adults to make these ridiculous decisions when clearly there are other issues like gender dysphoria or mental health issues going on, and why doctors would perform these type of surgeries when they don't perform things like mastectomies, for example, on young women who are of birthing age that are well over the age of 18, but especially when we're talking about children and anyone who's under the age of 18. I mean, that is such a bright line that children have, as you rightly say, a right to intact bodies. How are we even debating this in our current society?
And it's such cognitive dissonance on behalf of the left. I mean, like my 17-year-old, she's almost 18. I just had to sign a form for her saying that, yes, she could push shopping carts at the grocery store for her job. And I had to sign it because she's still in school. And so I had to make sure that she knew that she was going to be able to do her homework. She can't make the decision on her own to push shopping carts for a couple hours a week, but she can make the decision to amputate her breasts, to block puberty that is going to result in decreased brain growth, lung growth, heart growth, bone growth. I mean, all of these things that are going to affect her development forever, possibly sterilize her. And so they can't have it both ways. Do children need that kind of supervision? Do I need to sign off on her getting an aspirin at school? Or is she so mature? Is she so self-aware that she can go ahead and mutilate herself for life through these surgeries? And the answer is, of course, kids need to be protected, right, from these long-term, irreversibly damaging treatments that are being handed them in the name of medical care. And all of us responsible adults have to rise up and defend them because they can't defend themselves.
Yeah, and this is where there is an obvious limitation to parental rights, because even the parents who are suggesting that they want to allow puberty blockers or these types of so-called gender-affirming surgeries and all of this, I mean, there are limitations to what the law allows for parents. You can't have your 5-year-old drive a car, down the highway. That's not something that you can permit. There are even, giving alcohol to minors. That's actually a criminal offense in society. And yet we think that something that could be even just that temporarily devastating to their physical bodies, now somehow parents have the right to permanently mutilate and damage their body because a parent thinks that that is somehow okay. I mean, there are limitations in the law. And so what you've suggested, especially in your first book, Them Before Us, and Why We Need a Global Children's Rights Movement, this isn't just about parental rights anymore. This is about children's rights.
Yeah, that's how we need to think about these things. I'm so grateful that there is a resurgence of interest in parental rights, because parents do have an obligation and a right to direct their children's medical care and their education and their upbringing 100%. Parents do not have a right to end their child's life. Parents don't have a right to disturb their children and upset their innocence by introducing sexually disturbing material to them through Drag Queen Story Hour. Parents don't have a right to chemically sterilize their otherwise healthy children. I mean, parental rights is not a blanket, do anything that you want to your children's bodies because you have sole control over them. Parental rights is actually in concert with our duties to our children. Rights and duties go together. We have a responsibility and a duty to steward and care for our child's life, to maintain their family bonds, to protect their minds, and to make sure that their bodies are safe and that they can thrive. And so, unfortunately, in the name of parental rights, we have some parents that are absolutely violating children's right to life, violating their right to be known and loved by both people responsible for their existence, violating their right to innocence, violating their right to an intact body. And so parental rights can only get us so far. if we want to truly protect children, we have to make these arguments based on children's rights. And sometimes that is going to run up against adult preferences, not genuine adult rights, but their preferences. And we need to make sure that we understand the distinction between the two.
And I think that's a really important point, because for so long, conservatives have suggested that parental rights are completely at the forefront, and that children are subservient, for lack of a better word, to their parents' wishes, and the right of parents to direct the upbringing of their children. And in a large sense, that is true. But we don't have parental rights as a license, basically, for abuse or for these modifications and altering and mutilation of their bodies that are genuinely abusive and permanent. And so we have to recognize that parental rights have always not been absolute. And the way that we do that is not to give some of the right to the states. It's not a clash between parental rights and states' rights, which is how I think the law has really always contemplated the tension point. It's between parental rights and states' authority and power versus children's rights. And children's rights really haven't been contemplated, particularly in a leftist sort of agenda that I really think is just trying to commoditize children.
Yeah, that's right. And unfortunately, if you Google the term children's rights now, you will see that it has largely been co-opted by the left, not to protect the actual rights of children, not their fundamental rights, their natural rights that exist, whether or not civil law recognizes them. They have used that term to co-opt and push and smuggle in some of the most damaging child ideas and child ideologies that you're going to find under the sun, right? A child's right to sexual pleasure, a child's right to testosterone from Planned Parenthood, their right to have a transgender identity hidden from their parents at school under the name of a right to privacy. I mean, none of these are natural rights. All of them actually undermine and destroy children's fundamental rights. And so we need to be very clear about what rights are, properly use them, and then go all out to defend kids. Because when we forsake their fundamental rights, very real children are being harmed. And you can see it so clearly when you look at these reports on the number of transgender treatments that these kids are actually receiving.
Yeah, and I think that that's a really important phrase to say. These are the natural rights of children, because everything that the left is trying to do is not only artificial, but unnatural. To say that gender it can be changed, that is something that is unnatural. To say that we should be cutting off the breasts or genitals of children, that is, of course, unnatural. Or even abortion as a medical intervention to destroy and kill the life of a child, that is obviously unnatural. And so where we can draw those contours and distinctions between the things that the left is projecting and saying, well, we want to take something unnatural and redefine it as a right, versus what is genuinely a natural right of a child to have a mom and a dad. That's the only way that a child can naturally be born into the world. And so we can't take away that natural right for children to have a father and a mother. I mean, all of this is born out of unnatural and trying to create that and pervert that into something that is borrowing from natural, as my good friend, Pastor Jack Hibbs says. So, how can we help change the conversation and not allow the left to co-opt some of these terms and get this back to the proper natural definition?
Well, I think that what we see is, in honestly all of these cultural issues, it does not matter what you're looking at, like definition of marriage, abortion, all of the commotion around reproductive technologies and two men creating children through surrogacy, and drag queen story hour, and who can go in whose locker room, and can boys play on girls' sports, and can we do these transgender treatments, and what kind of sex ed can we give to kids? I mean, you look at all the things that get people off the couch and into the voting booth, and there is a common thread through all of them, and it is, you are harming kids. And so actually, I think that that is the proper lens through which we should view and present and message on all of these culture war issues. Not, oh, we're trying to obstruct what adults want to do, or we're against, whatever adults want to do in their own private lives or with their own bodies. No, it is, here's the firewall around children. I don't care what's going on in your, well, I do care, but like policy-wise, I don't care what's going on in your own life. Don't touch the kids. And you can actually look at defending children's life, family, mind, and body, and you capture every culture war issue that we've got going on out there, and you do it in the framework of being for kids rather than against adults. So practically, I think that all of us who care about kids need to start saying, we're not just going to be single issue people. We are going to look at every issue through the lens of the rights and well-being of children and fight on their behalf. And the reality is you can build a pretty fantastic coalition with that, because a lot of people care about the well-being of kids.
Yeah, and that is such a great way to frame it, is that we're for kids, not against parents, and hopefully encouraging parents to consider the impact that they're having on their children. I mean, I think a lot of these people who are, maybe two women or two men who are using, surrogate for their children, and it's almost, like a purchase of a child, they're not really considering what harm they're doing to the child when they're suggesting, well, I want to bring them into my lifestyle. I mean, it is more self-focused instead of recognizing what is actually in the children's best interest. And if we have that paradigm shift, then a lot comes into focus.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's what we spend the entirety of our first book talking about, is children actually have concrete rights to be known and loved by the two people responsible for their existence. That means every adult is going to have to sacrifice and conform at some point. It means sometimes you don't get what you want as an adult, but the kid always gets what they need and what they deserve. That's a challenging message. But the reality is, do you want a thriving society, or do you want broken kids that then create an even more broken society? You got to pick, right? Who's going to do the hard thing? Is it going to be the adults who want a kid their way, their time, in whatever method that they can get it? Or is it going to be the kid, right, who gets everything that they need because the adults are doing hard things on their behalf? That's the choice that we have before us right now. Increasingly, we are moving towards a society that elevates and exalts adult sexual feeling, desire, identity, and it's always the kids that suffer as a result. So we need to flip the script and start thinking about things in a child-centric way.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if you think about too, what is the magical number of, the age of 18, that suddenly now the adults get all of their preferences and their desires, instead of the kids that are under 18 getting their needs actually met? Why should just the people who have the power and the control and maybe the ability in a capitalist society to say, well, I can foist my preferences on the younger and the weaker? I mean, that is something that genuinely is preying on children and saying we are going to be so selfish, instead of recognizing that it is the responsibility and the duty, as you said previously, of parents and of adults to make sure that children's needs are taken care of. And so being for kids, not against parents, again, as I think a really apt way to put it. And so your second book, Raising Conservative Kids in a Woke City, that seems to be very for parents as well.
Yeah, it is. And it's interesting because the first book is the book that everybody needs to read, but nobody knows it. The second book is the book that everybody knows they need to read as soon as they read the title. So it's not even out yet, and it's already been to like number 1,000 on the bestseller list, because you see it and you go, oh my gosh, I also need this book. And it's just about like every parent that I know, whether you're in a blue state or a red state, public school, private school, homeschool, every parent is going, how do we keep the woke virus from consuming our children? Every parent is asking that. And my co-author and I have figured out some timeless principles applied to our current day moment that tells you how you can do that. Even if you're in Seattle, even if your kids go to public school, they don't have to be victims of the culture. They can actually be transformers of the culture.
And that's so encouraging, because I know there are so many parents that think, okay, well, I get it. I'm not letting, any of this gender theory nonsense into my home. We go to church. We, make sure that I'm keeping my kids away from all of these really evil ideologies, but you can't keep your kids away from everything. And so it becomes almost this balance of how much do I allow my kids to, be quote unquote normal according to, whatever metric you're determining that. Because I think actually homeschool kids are more normal than, other kids that are off onto all of this woke gender nonsense. But but how much do you allow your kids to engage with the culture when they're young and impressionable, and how much decision making goes into that? And I think a lot of parents genuinely are concerned, because even if you just turn on the television, I mean, I was, for example, scrolling through Twitter and just seeing a trend that was going, I was scrolling down and there was a ton of like porn that popped up, and I was thinking, what in the world is going on? And thankfully, hopefully Elon's dealing with that a little bit, but it's like, even you can't get away from it, even if you absolutely try. And I'm thinking, if that was a teenager scrolling through that, there's no way that anyone should ever be ever have that foisted on them when they're not actively looking for it. So how do we raise conservative kids but still engage in such a hostile culture?
So you're exactly right. You can neither shelter them completely forever and always, because then they will wither when they encounter the world, and that is unacceptable, right? Neither can you completely expose them to everything, violate their innocence, and grind them down to a nub before they have a chance to even understand what they think and what the world is really about. So what we do in the book is we explain processes of how you slowly hand off your worldview to your kids in age-appropriate stages. And we map out exactly what you should be teaching them in elementary school, in middle school, and then what you should be doing in high school. We identify the main areas that you need to be addressing with your children all the way through, the things that we say need to be conserved, the main things that are under attack right now that you have to hammer out in very, very clear detail with your kids, and then slowly expose them to the dangerous and damaging worldview that is opposing those conservative principles. So it really is a parenting book where we just take all of these tried and true parenting philosophies and we say, what does it look like today in this woke world? And it does balance sheltering and exposure, right? It does balance like introducing these concepts to our kids versus withholding it from them depending on the age and stage that they are at. But the reality is that if you're very intentional about training your kids, staying connected with them, giving them good information, slowly handing your worldview off to them, you are going to have kids that do not bend for anyone. You are going to have kids who understand the world so well that they are the expert among their friends. And their friends even acknowledge, you know, some of my kids would be like, oh yeah, don't talk to Josh. He knows exactly what he thinks about this. Like you're not going to be able to get him on this, because we have built in a worldview into our kids where they are confident, right? Maybe they don't know more than the teacher, but they can spot a lie and they can come home and be like, what's up with that, mom? And then we figure it out together.
And I love that, because that is intentional parenting. It's not the parenting that says, okay, well, as long as I take my kids to church for an hour on Sundays, they'll get all of the biblical worldview that they need, and then we can just go and do whatever, and allow and abdicate basically parenting to the state or to the systems in the culture. This is intentional discipleship, really, and mentorship. And I love that, because you're also describing that balance between sheltering and exposure, but at ages that are appropriate. Because I've seen so many statistics of faith-based kids that then go off to college after high school and they totally abandon their faith. And that tells me, well, then they didn't have really a grounded faith to begin with, because we can all go through questions. I mean, I've gone through, crises of faith at various points in my life just with questions, but I've never abandoned my faith at all, because my parents did that exact same thing in terms of mentorship, worldview, and exposure to the cultural message of lies and deceit, and balanced that with the truthful answers. And I always knew that there is an answer, and there is a conservative, truthful, biblical worldview answer. And I think that really is so important to making sure that kids are well equipped before they get into the hostile culture that is going to teach them otherwise, and discerning those truths from lies. So that's really incredible. The book is Raising Conservative Kids in a Woke City, Teaching Historical, Economic, and Biological Truth in a World of Lies. I know that every parent is really going to want to get this. And so just in the last 2 minutes I have with you, Katy, I mean, this is something I think that really has reached a crisis point, because we've seen how the left is coming after our kids. We've seen how in just a couple of generations, we can have these adults that are walking around with a totally false view of basic reality. I mean, the fact that people can even argue that men can become women, or there's no definition of a woman. I mean, this is so insane. So is there hope if we are raising a generation of conservative kids?
Well, here's the hope. The left are not having children. All of my friends who are progressives have 0 to 2 kids. My conservative friends have 2 to 12. We have always had more children. Either being conservative makes women have more children, or having more children makes women more conservative. Okay, so one or the other. Conservatives are having children and progressives are not. The problem is we've had lots of children. We've had more children than they've had for decades. We've just handed them over to the left to raise them. And so if we can actually raise our own children, if we can inculcate our values in our kids, do you understand how different things could look in a couple decades, if we are replicating ourselves in our kids, fortifying their worldview, giving them confidence, giving them answers, making them experts in the room, demonstrating how you can stand firm even if you're standing alone, modeling, developing fantastic friendships so that you don't have to stand alone, then do you understand how different this nation could look? Literally, the most powerful weapon that we have right now is parenting. And that's what we tried to do in this book, is show you, even if you're in the most hostile city and your kids are surrounded by like woke teachers and psychosocial media, your kids can be transformers of culture. And we're going to tell you how to do it.
That's really exciting and encouraging. And I can't wait to read this book because I know so many parents will have that same question. And I think you're totally right that even though conservatives generally do have more kids because the left tends to be selfish and doesn't want to have kids, and there is a split in worldview there for sure, that we have been handing over our kids to the systems of the state to raise our kids. And then why should we even question why they become leftists when they get older? We need to stop that trend. And I'm so excited that this book is encouraging for parents and will tell them how. And so, Katy, thank you so much for the work that you do. How can people reach you and also get engaged beyond reading your books and having these resources, encouraging more parents as well to get engaged and to take the time to be active parents with their children?
Well, get the book. The second book on parenting is Raising Conservative Kids in a Woke City. You can get it Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all the book places. If you want to follow my work, which is kind of off the hook, like things are getting nuts over at Them Before Us, go to thembeforeus.com, go to the bottom and subscribe. We have so much going on. So much excitement, sort of child protectiveness, that we are going to take these child-centric principles into the world in a lot of different ways. So subscribe and stay up on that and get involved, because I am so sick of playing defense and I am so ready to go and take back ground on behalf of kids. So you should totally join us.
Awesome. And I love that because we have been playing defense for too long. It is time to go on offense, take back our kids, take back our culture for the truth. And I'm so excited that people like you are at the forefront of this issue. So Katy, thanks so much for joining me. Always appreciate your time and the resources that you provide and the hope and encouragement for parents and for kids as well.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me.
Hello, friends. With inflation, the banking world collapse, and everything that Joe Biden is doing not to protect America, you need to make sure to secure your financial health, especially in retirement. And hey, if you're a millennial like me, that actually is sooner than you think. You need to start now, even if you are a millennial or a Gen Zer, to make sure that your financial health is actually healthy when we get to retirement. And Legacy Precious Metals has a revolutionary new online platform that allows you to invest in gold and silver online in real time. In a few easy steps, you can open an account online, select your metals of choice, and choose to have them stored in a vault or shipped right to your door. You'll have access to a dashboard where you can track your portfolio growth in real time anytime. You'll see transparent pricing on each coin and bar, and this puts you in complete control of your money. The platform is free to sign up for. Visit legacypminvestments.com and open your account and see this new investing platform for yourself. Gold hedges against inflation and against a volatile stock market. A truly diversified portfolio isn't just more stocks and bonds, but different asset classes. This brand new platform allows you to make investments in gold and silver, no matter how small or large, with just a few clicks. Visit legacypm.com to get started. You can download the free investor's guide, and you can also call Legacy PM Investments to talk to a portfolio expert to get expert answers to your to customize your personal portfolio. So visit legacypminvestments.com to get started. Tell them that Jenna sent you.
On MyPillow's 20-year anniversary, with over 80 million MyPillows sold, Mike Lindell wants to thank each and every one of you by giving you the lowest price in history on his MyPillows. You will receive a queen-size MyPillow for only $19.98. The regular price is $69.98 and just $10 more for a king size. You'll receive deep discounts on all MyPillow products such as bed sheets, mattress toppers, pet beds, mattresses, my slippers, which I love, and so much more. This is the time to try out some of the amazing products you've had your eye on from MyPillow. So go to mypillow.com and enter promo code Jenna to receive this amazing offer on the queen size MyPillow for $19.98. You can go to mypillow.com or call 1-800-564-8475. Be sure to use the promo code Jenna. This offer comes with a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee. It's time to start getting the quality sleep you deserve. This offer comes with a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee. It's time to start getting the quality sleep you deserve. Go to mypillow.com, use the promo code Jenna.